to further improve the ability to visit this country, increase travel, and grow the economy. I'd like to now call on Senator Coates for his opening statement, and then I will turn to Vice Chair Frank Lautenberg when he arrives. And Senator, please, and thank you, and I understand you have to leave in about 20 minutes, so thank you.
Madam Chairman, you have suggested we do a roll on the coverage so we can keep the committee going. I can work that out. So you go first, I'll wait, and then when you come back, and then got another purpose hearing that's important to me, but I might be able to, this is important, and I want to be here as much as I can. So we'll figure that out. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, for bringing these people together on this subject. You know, all of us have experienced travel issues, lines at airline counters, and self-check kiosks, and delays at boarding gates, lines at security screening, and so forth. But we have to remember that 911 was a game changer, and that a lot of important adjustments needed to be made in terms of our ensuring that travel and tourism, travel and the tourists that do travel, and Americans that travel, are safe to the extent, every extent possible. And so these adjustments have been made over many adjustments, and things have been added to our ability to travel conveniently. And there is this yin and yang that goes back and forth. We all want to balance security with convenience, but everybody wants to be perfectly safe or as safe as possible, and at the same time have everything be as convenient as possible. And the members of the panel that are, this first panel that's before us, have to deal with these issues every day, and finding that that balance is a real challenge, and I think we have to recognize that and recognize the efforts that have been made to try to achieve those two goals. TSA and CPB have a number of initiatives underway, Paycheck and Global Entry among them, which could positively impact their ability to concentrate their limited resources on risk-based screening. State Department's working on an initiative to address visa issuance problems. There's a yin and yang between our first panel and our second panel. If CPB and TSA schedule too few staff on a shift, resulting in lines and delays for processing and screening, that's a problem. But airline policies and scheduling also play a role in processing and screening. Too few personnel staffing an airline self-check kiosk can hold up travelers, as can the impact of an airline's baggage fees. If there are too many international flights scheduled for arrival, say between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. at Dulles, this contributes to long lines for processing. And too many flights scheduled for early morning departure or late afternoon arrival or departure contribute to long lines for security screening. So I'm hoping this morning that we will hear concrete, achievable suggestions for improvements. Let me just expand on that. Achievable suggestions for improving processing and screening while maintaining our security and recognizing budget constraints. This is a real challenge. We're facing a serious crisis in this country with our nation's debt and yearly deficit. It can't be ignored, and there can no longer be such a thing as a sacred cow. We all have our sacred cows, but when you add them all up, nobody wants to subtract anything. I don't believe the answer to our problems is more taxpayer money sent to Washington, so we need to find innovative ways to be more efficient with the resources we do have. I note that several of the written testimonies include calls for more federal staff at airports, mandating in statute a time limit for processing international arriving flights, mandating a time limit for processing visa applications, modernizing federal information technology systems, providing federal funding for checked baggage, screening equipment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, while many of the suggestions that have been made may be good ideas, each, or most likely, most of them will require additional appropriations, which we don't have. They might require increases in fees levied on international airline passengers or visa applicants, or even domestic passengers, which have, as we know, little, if any, public support. And most importantly, some of these suggestions have a cost in lowered security. So do we want CPB watching the clock every time an international flight lands? Or do we want them concentrating on assessing the information and the demeanor of each individual who's come off that plane? Do we want State Department checking the calendar every day a visa application is in the office? Or do we want them making sure that they have found every piece of information they can about a potential visitor or emigrant to this country before making a final decision? It's not okay to complain about security requirements for visas, airports, or entry into the United States and then demand that they be fundamentally changed when one mishap or one bad guy gets through the system. None of us want to see international travel drop in the wake of a successful terrorist attack the way it did in 2002 in the aftermath of 9/11. So in conclusion here, we all need to work together to figure out ways to work smarter, but not necessarily more expensively or in a way that could compromise security. TSA, CPB, and the State Department need to contribute ideas, just like the travel industry, airlines, event planners, and flight attendants need to contribute ideas for all of us to do this while ensuring that the United States remains safe and preferred, a safe and preferred destination for international travelers. I look forward to continuing this discussion on these important issues. Madam Chairman, I know you and I, Senator Lautenberg and others on this committee pledge to work with all of you to try to achieve efficiency and effectiveness, at the same time providing security for those who travel from abroad and for Americans who take advantage of this magnificent country by getting on a plane, train, bus to go to places and continue this vibrant and dynamic tourist industry. I might just say, happy to see my friend and fellow Indiana Law School graduate John Pistol here. We would prefer that nothing happens to interrupt our time between Friday evening 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. when Indiana plays Kentucky in the Sweet 16. So to the extent you gentlemen...
Go Hoosiers.
To the extent you gentlemen can prevent anything serious from getting distracting during that time frame, we'd be most appreciative.
Be on during that time, John. Senator Lautenberg.
Thanks, Madam Chairman. The